Hey everyone, Happy New Year! Guess what? I have some more thoughts. These are just musings of mine. It's just a topic that I wanted to talk about. Criticism and conflicting opinions more than welcome. Do other fairy tales help or hinder religious faith? That's what I wanted to talk about. A few recent instances have made me think about this. First instance, I was recently in a dentist office in the waiting room, and they were playing a Tinkerbell movie. I actually really like those movies when I stumble across them. They're really cute and creative. The scene that got me thinking about this video was between the main human character, the girl that meets Tinkerbell, and her father, who is some sort of scientist or biologist. The girl loves fairies, and before she even meets Tinkerbell, believes the fairy world is real and has a very lively imagination about them. And the father very smugly chastises her and reminds her to have a scientific mindset, that fairies are not scientifically proven, and therefore she shouldn't believe that fairies exist. Shortly after, she actually does meet Tinkerbell, which is absolute confirmation that fairies are real in that world, and she starts writing pages on the science of fairies, getting Tinkerbell's explanations on how they do things. I didn't get a chance to view the whole movie, but I'm assuming later on, when the girl brings her findings to her father is very close-minded and is thinking she's imagining things and not being very scientific, when in actuality, after she meets Tinkerbell, she is being scientific. The reason I think that is because that tends to be a theme with movies that tell children to trust their belief in things that are usually thought to be imaginary by adults, like Santa Claus. I find some interesting points in a lot of the themes in most of the Santa Claus stories that are out there. One, the main protagonist believes that Santa is real, and there are a few signs out there that might indicate that there's a Santa Claus, but ultimately, either way, they believe Santa Claus is real with everything that they have. Number two, there is at least one skeptic of Santa Claus within the circle of the protagonist that points out all the different things that would show that Santa doesn't exist or probably doesn't exist. Usually the believer is full of wonder and imagination and seems very happy, and the skeptic is either very sad or kind of angry or smug or condescending. Number three, Santa is revealed to the protagonist, and the protagonist knew all along and then goes to tell the truth to everybody, and of course no one else believes them because Santa has not been revealed to them. At this point, the protagonist might have even been shown how all those seemingly impossible things about Santa are possible, but of course they fall on deaf ears to those around them. Number four, in the end, Santa is revealed to all, and the moral is that if you really, really, really believe in something, that means it exists even though you don't have good explanations at the start. To be clear, I don't want to be a spoil sport. I love Christmas, I love Santa, I love fairy tales, I love fairies. They're all very nice and wonderful, and there's a lot of joy in those stories. The things I find interesting are how the protagonists and the skeptics are portrayed, and what the moral is, and the ramifications for other beliefs. The thing about the skeptics in the Tinkerbell movie and the Santa Claus stories is that they're portrayed in a negative light, even though the points they make initially are solid ones. There's nothing wrong with a child using their imagination and keeping their mind open, but from a scientific and skeptical standpoint, it's absolutely proper to sit them down and talk to them about not believing something until they have proper evidence for it. There's nothing wrong with that, and that shouldn't be discouraged. It's also unfair to portray those skeptics as not listening to the children once the children have evidence of what they believe. From a proper scientific or skeptical standpoint, it would be okay to say, since I have not seen these things myself, I myself am not convinced at this point, but I am open to hearing more findings as you come across them. Another thought I had while pondering all this is how this helps or hinders skeptics and atheists and religion. Thoughts about Santa Claus and religion have always been relatively tied together for me. When I was a child, about probably 7, 8 years old, I figured out that Santa wasn't real for myself, and I addressed it with my mom, and she sat me down, and she conceded that Santa Claus isn't real, and while we were at it, the Tooth Fairy wasn't real, and the Easter Bunny wasn't real. However, she made a very big point to point out that Jesus was real, and to not get that mixed up with Santa Claus not being real. Of course, they're also tied in with keep Christ in Christmas, and that atheists have a war on Christmas. We don't. We love Christmas. And the noticing of Christmas borrowing from pagan traditions in this time of year. So those thoughts of Santa and Christ always tend to get blended in together. While thinking about all this, there was a part of me that could believe it if I found out that Santa was created either by a Christian who wanted to boost faith in God, or an atheist who wanted to use the parallels of believing Santa to Christianity. I could believe either one, because it could help or hurt either one. As it turns out, the concept of Santa evolved from several elements of early Christianity and the pagan traditions that came before Christmas, and the modernization of Santa in America years later. So it really just was a gradual process of building the story of Santa, so I don't think there was any one given angle or slant throughout the whole thing. But, I just think it's interesting that it could be used either way. But enough of that tangent. I just find it interesting. As the holiday season comes to an end, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. And if I would impart a message, it would be to keep using your imagination and your skepticism. Combine them to find things out about the world and share those findings with others, and also listen to others sharing their findings. And hopefully we all come to a better understanding of the world and each other. Thanks, guys. Till next time.